Upfront on the Voice of America. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. We're here in Studio 43 with my friend Nathan Araya, all the way from Austin, Texas. Nathan, what brings you in town? I remember last time you were here, you were promoting your movie, The Diaspora Journal.
Right.
We talked a little bit about it.
Right.
What are you doing in the city today? I mean,
well, I was actually speaking at a conference for like 3 or 4 days. It's a conference that is geared towards, people that have adopted Ethiopian children. So I was kind of just sharing, I spoke at 4 different sessions about the power of identity, culture, and how to raise kids in a country where maybe kind of foreign and unknown for parents. So,
did you get to screen your movie?
I screened it. Yeah. I screened the film.
What was the reaction?
Man, they loved it. They loved it. And I used the film to kind of bring about some amazing conversations with parents that are looking to raise Ethiopian kids.
So these American and European parents who adopted kids from your motherland, from Ethiopia.
Right.
And they understand the struggles, the identity crisis that you sometimes describe in your movie, The Diaspora Journal, which was a very great choice for them to actually get you to speak on this, because I feel like you have a very interesting perspective on that, having gone through life as a first-generation Ethiopian American.
Right.
So how did that go?
Yeah, it went pretty well.
Did you get good feedback?
Yeah, I got some great feedback, from people. It was just very helpful to kind of use this film, just as a blueprint on, how you can be able to kind of raise kids and help them identify with some of the things that they're navigating in America with not feeling like they're American enough or African enough. It was great to kind of show that, man, you can embrace your experiences and you're building a new culture, a third culture. And that's the idea of being first generation. It's the idea of pioneering a third culture.
Third Culture Kids sounds like a name of a band,
right?
Did you see did you see yourself in these kids?
I did. You know what's funny? Actually, there was a kid after they saw my film. They were like, "You're like Anthony Bourdain, but you're better." And I'm like,
"Oh,
whoa!"
wow.
I was like, "That guy has his own legacy. I wouldn't even come close." But what's so awesome?
This kid, that's very profound for this kid to actually make that kind of remark.
Very profound.
Right.
And what's so awesome about that is that kid, that Ethiopian kid, can identify with me, and that's the power of representation.
Absolutely, representation matters.
It does, because you can have someone that does more things, better things, have put a whole legacy out. But the fact that a kid can identify with someone
and
that's doing
see
something,
themselves in you.
Right. That just sets you beyond the bar. So it was amazing to kind of say
now
that.
you understand what you're doing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. There's a
kind
purpose.
of brings it home for you.
Right.
Sometimes we start these projects and not fully understand the impact it will have on the people. But when a kid like that, speaks to you and it really touches to the core of your very mission, that is quite profound, like we said. So what else have you been working on? Are you down with promoting the movie, screening the movie, Diaspora Journal?
I'm screening the film still at, certain locations, but right now I got a new passion. It's called Africa and Us. And this is about providing people with inspiring stories of representation.
Absolutely.
It's a podcast. I try to drop it at least once every 2 weeks, maybe every week or so. And I've been just gathering people from all over the world to kind of share their stories. So on this podcast, I'm featuring like a British Congolese comedian. His name is Eddie Caddy. This guy's traveled with Lauryn Hill, Nas. He's the first British black comedian to headline the O2 Arena.
Wow.
And what's so awesome about this is that many people don't know a lot of these stories.
Did you know about this guy?
I ran into him in New York when I was with Luol Deng and a few great people at a kind of a lunch.
For those of you who don't know, he just name dropped Luol Deng, just nonchalantly. Luol Deng.
I'm telling
you. Can
you,
you tell the people who Luol Deng is and why you were with Luol Deng? Because I feel that we could go on a tangent on that conversation itself.
Honestly, man, I'm honored and I'm humbled to work with some amazing people in my life. And man, he has just such an authentic heart. He does something called South Sudan Unite, which is beyond basketball, which I love about him. He sees something beyond his basketball career, and he sees himself as someone that holds responsibility to empower the South Sudanese community in America. So I've been kind of helping him as a producer with some of his initiatives off the court with South Sudan Unite.
Luol Deng is an NBA player,
Right.
National Basketball Association. Back to our story. You were in New York with Luol Deng, who you were working with on his project, Sudan Unite. Yeah. And then you ran into Eddie Caddy, who is a Congolese British musician. Comedian.
Yeah, huge. So he's such a profound dude with substance. He talks about putting the culture first before his comedy, because when he steps on stage, he's all about representation and giving people information about his country, the continent of Africa, how it's important. And he says, I put the culture first all the time. And
you connected with that guy right away.
I connected with that guy right away. So he's on the podcast. I got Ethiopian American psychiatrist, nurse, and her name is Ledet Mulet. She does a lot of work.
Yes,
with
I know. I'm a big fan
health,
of.
right?
Yes,
and mental health is important for our communities. Because there's certain things that taboo.
I thought I knew that. I thought it was Muleta the artist.
God,
yes.
Actually, she's in D.C. She's here in D.C. and she's doing phenomenal work.
I think I know who that one is too. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, this is Upfront on the Voice of America. My name is Jackson Bunganye. That is Nathan Araya. Also goes by Nate Araya. He's a storyteller, filmmaker, public speaker, all around good dude, man, doing good things. I'm very fascinated by your projects, identity-based stories of people or communities that are being historically underrepresented, but also most importantly, young people that are growing up in new environments and kind of creating, as you said, third cultures. So you've had that comedian. Who else have you had? And because I'm trying to get our listeners to also cross over and listen to your podcast, because that seems like something that is very important and very interesting too.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many great people. There's a young lady that I spoke with. Her name is Grace Freeman. She's from Liberia and went to Ghana due to the war that happened in her country. And she was a child slave. She was at a refugee camp and then became a child slave for maybe about 11 years or so. And her story is just phenomenal. She has a story of hope, of perseverance. And, to be able to look at child slavery and refugee camps to this day, I mean, it's just remarkable to see some of the heroes that are going through things like that and what we can do to prevent from, things like that from happening, holding African governments accountable, being able to identify that, these are circumstances that are caused by, things that are just not healthy within the country.
Absolutely.
And how can we combat that?
Absolutely.
So stories like hers is just so rich, and she's inspiring many people to this day. She's pursuing to be a nurse, and she's speaking at different places, sharing her story, just kind of defending who she is and speaking her narrative and owning her story. And she's like my hero.
And so where can people find your podcast?
So if you just search Africa and Us on iTunes,
Africa
Spotify,
and Us.
In Us.
Okay.
So it's like in Us.
Okay.
So Africa in Us.
In like inside. Okay.
Right,
Africa in Us.
Right.
If you want to listen to the podcast featuring Nathan Araya, do you host it by yourself or do you have a co-host?
Yeah. No, I host it by myself and just have these guests from all over.
How long is it usually?
Anywhere from 30 to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour.
And what kind of conversations are you having?
Man, we're talking about people that are experts in their field. So we talk about mental health. We talk about, child slavery. We talk about human trafficking. We talk about people that are in amazing positions in life and
have overcome odds in their life.
Have overcome odds, and they're providing a blueprint for the next generation. Because as a first generation, you're pioneering. Remember, so the idea is, how can we, as first generation Americans, not just pursue amazing careers, but leave a blueprint behind us?
Yes.
So that's my whole goal now. I've done so many things within my career, and I'm happy, and I'm still pursuing what I'm pursuing. But more so, it's about what I'm leaving behind for the next generation.
Right. That's very important. You're very young, but you're already thinking about legacy. Yeah. And those are some of the things that we never think about. Mostly young Black people or young Africans. We many of the young people that I've talked to don't really think about issues of legacy because they're busy struggling with the day-to-day life, hustle. And but it's quite important that people start thinking about legacy in terms of what are you giving back to the community. what stories you're telling, what pebbles you're leaving along the way, so people who are behind you can use that as a guiding light. Nathan, it's always such a pleasure, having you in the studio talking to you, man.
I appreciate you, man.
If you're ever in DC again, hit me up, come on the show. People love you. We had a great conversation. Also, tell the people where to find your show. Are you streaming it online where people can find it?
Yeah. So
the Diaspora Journal?
Oh, the Diaspora Journal. It's right now on thediasporajournal.com. So www.thediasporajournal.com or just type in Diaspora Journal in YouTube. So
can we talk a little bit about some of the lessons you learned as a young content producer, visual artist, storyteller, in terms of monetizing your content? Because that's a question many people talk to me about and ask me.
Yeah, I always
you have some lessons that are.
Yeah, I always tell people, create the type of opportunities that you want to be hired for. And when I'm saying hire, I don't mean just working for someone. I'm talking partnerships. I don't think people in the African community or even Black communities in general that we don't really own a lot. So I think there's a great things that are happening with people that are owning the studios, they're owning shows. I think those are great things because ownership is important. And actually, I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago about the movie The Black Panther. And what's awesome about that is, man, it did what it did for representation, for the Black communities, for Africans to be able to see representation on the screen.
On screen, on big screens, yes.
But at the end of the day, also you also have to think about like who's owning the Black Panther film.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy that we don't even own our fantasies. So the idea is how can
that's
we
a very
own
interesting way to put
our
it.
realities and our fantasies?
Yes. That's very deep, guys. That's very deep, Nathan. So we don't own our stories, that we own our fantasies.
Right.
Nathan Araya, thank you very much, bro.
Man,
appreciate you.
Man. Thank you for the work that you do.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Will do.
And let's tell these stories, man.
Man,
I want to show so the people see this T-shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes. I think this is from Chinua Achebe. Until the lion learns how to write every story. Until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter.
Right.
And that is something that you should take home and think about.
Yeah. I created this shirt, inspired me for a lot of the work that I do. It's selling online at natearaya.com/shop. So
why is that important to you?
Man, I really have such a big call over my life to share stories that are underrepresented and that do matter. And I'm a big proponent of not just being a victim of your surrounding, but being a voice for your story. And it's important that we don't let anyone else share our narratives and our stories for us. We have to speak for ourselves. We have to contribute to existing conversations that are taking place in the world today. And a lot of people tell me why I'm so positive and optimistic, and because the world is just so negative. And I tell them, because the world is so negative and you have people that are taking and speaking on behalf of you, how much more do we need to share our own positive stories?
Absolutely.
So these things actually fuel and fulfill me in my life.
Agency and representation.
Right.
All right.
I appreciate you.